All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is 9 a.m., March 30th on a Thursday, 2023. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join me this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. I did not do a morning note yesterday. Again, I was with my wife at the doctor's office. I was just the ride, if anything. But back at it again. I did do a video last night for the team, kind of recapping our positions. We'll go over that on Friday, tomorrow. We'll go over the week. I'll go over the quarter for our signals and see how we did, talk about it. Should be always fun to go over what we did right, what we did wrong. Again, this is how we learn moving forward. But a very, very strong quarter for the S&P in terms of at least trading size wise. So we'll go over that as we get to Friday. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin, guys, good morning, Zoom Balloon. Maybe afternoon where you are, but it's morning over here. Just wanted to give you guys that's a request. If you could just press that subscribe button. We're just trying to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think the YouTube channel has been on now since 2015. I started the company in 2014, so we've been doing this for a little bit now. So again, if you just hit that subscribe button for me, I'd really appreciate it. Maybe you're not a big YouTube guy and you just love watching this. Just turn on that subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. You can turn on notifications if you want. Let's just get to 10,000. All right, Dow futures up 205 points. NASDAQ up 0.65%. We're going to chart all of this this morning. S&P 500 futures 4083, right near some resistance. Russell 1798 up about 0.81%. 10-year treasury yields 3.589. That is up today. 102.17 for the dollar. If you guys remember, we've been talking about lower rates and lower dollar. So far, that's what we've been getting. We should be breaking below 100, probably within April, since it's a seasonally strong month for the bulls, as you can see in the bottom here. Next support is exactly at 102 for our alert. The VIX is below 19, now at 18.99. Let me go ahead and tweet that. Go ahead and tweet that for you guys. And again, all news and headlines will be on our Twitter page. So make sure to follow that. That is free at GAR Capital, just like the YouTube channel. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is at 1987, so that 2,000 level seems to be that kind of resistance right now. Silver futures 23.90, $4.10 for copper futures. Euro dollar 72 pips to the upside. Again, that does help S&P 109.15. Dollar yen 132.83, pretty much flat on the day. Pound dollar 123.75, up 59 pips. And Bitcoin broke 28,000 overnight, 29,000 overnight, but then rejected. 30,000 is the level we're watching. 1806 for Ethereum. What's the level we're watching, team? We're watching for 2,000. See if we get a little more momentum to the upside, especially if stocks go higher in April. We've got a couple things to look at today. Okay, so Zoom Balloon's asking a question. I have the SPY 406 calls that expire Monday. I believe would be a good time to close. I'm scared of Yellen talking. Any thoughts on the overall index for the next couple of trading days? Yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. I almost said, all right, class, like it's a teaching session in a sense, but it kind of feels like that. Kind of teach every day in this point. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at S&P 500 futures. And I put this on Twitter yesterday, and I did this on the blog as well. And again, I'm just going to bring up the daily to kind of give us a little bit of color. Right here, this gray shaded area, that is your resistance. This is the support from February. This is the March highs. We are now above the March highs, or pretty much tapping it. The question is, do we break? So let's say if we wanted to go long for calls. Let's say we had nothing open. And mind you, I have 3 puts open. So you can imagine I want to definitely shoot myself at this point. Just tough, you know, thought we were going to get that continuation onto Tuesday. I wanted to fade that bank push and get that gap fill on Bank of America. It didn't happen. Just a tough one. One of the toughest weeks that we've had in a while, at least in terms of expectations. Again, I personally have high expectations of GAR Capital and myself. If I don't win every trade, I don't like that. I want to win every single one. I don't like losing any trades, let alone 3, if we are losing those trades. So what we're looking at now is not just to look at other opportunities, but we're trying not to revenge trade either. So what we want to do is see if we can actually sustain a break. And that's really the key. And the reason I say that is because I want to show you guys a couple of charts before we begin. And I sent this on the live market blog. If you guys remember, we talked about seasonality pretty much consistently in the first quarter, and it has worked out in our benefit. It helped us short the market in February. It helped us ride longs in January. It helped us kind of navigate through March. So let's take a look at the calendar in terms of seasonality for the election year. This is pre-election year, excuse me. So again, remember, election year for presidential will be every 4 years. That'll be the next cycle would be in 2024. So 2023 being year 3 of a presidential cycle, Q1 gains about 7.4% in the S&P, at least on a quarterly basis. Now, if I compare that, let me see if I can get that exact number where we are quarterly. Let me go ahead and bring this up. And the only reason I want to say that is I want to see if that comes close to the historical average. So let me go ahead and put S&P 500 quarter to date 2023. We'll do a quick Google. And so far in 2023, year to date is 3.87%. So we're about half of this usual or this average gain. Okay, so again, you could see the gain 7.4%, and then the bar being percentage of the time higher. So 6% of the time it's higher, again, based on this chart here, excuse me, on the right side, right around 80% of the time. So we did end the quarter green, unless we get an absolute meltdown the next 2 days. I don't expect that. Below the December lows, that would be right around 38.50 or so. I think it's safe to say we're not getting there. Again, look at the next quarter. Next quarter, about 65% of the time, a pretty strong quarter for the S&P. And that average is around 4.8%. So again, if we're about half of what we were expecting, let's say we'll get to 2.4% return in a quarter. Not exactly gangbusters, but hey, you add a little bit of that, now we're talking about retesting 4,200 right here. And then if you break above 4,200 on S&P 500, guys, you are now officially in a bull market on the S&P based on the lows of October, recent lows, to 4,200. That'll get us back to the zone in August. And again, that's the expectation for the quarter. If we get a soft landing, meaning the Fed and we pause or inflation comes down, maybe remember that June, July rollover based on the statistics, we've talked about that. If we do get that, then we will get a break and get above 4,300, really, which is my target for the end of the year, 4,300 to 4,400. Again, just retesting the August highs. Kind of on the way there, but we're not there as of yet. Obviously, we need to get above this resistance here. So taking a look at ES, you can see here that we do have this upward channel, or we could have easily said a bear flag, because if this broke down on a reversal, we could have retested maybe 3,900. We didn't get that. We've been chugging along very, very nicely. And I also talked about this yesterday. Every green candle of at least 50 handles just this past month has seen a reversal the next day, red. So again, could we reject here? Absolutely. I'm not going to run out and buy calls as of yet. Janet Yellen speaks today at 3:30 p.m. So this could be maybe possibly a bull trap. Just be careful on that. And to answer your question, Zoom Balloon, you have the SPY calls that expire on Monday. I would take those profits if you have it. Take it, because look at this. You're right here near resistance around 405. So I like the target you have. You may get a little more juice, but I would take it, take your money and run and see what happens moving forward, because this could reject, and before you know it, we start retesting some levels around 399. And again, guys, you know me. I'm bullish all day. I love being a bull. I love when the market's higher. I like playing calls. I actually hate playing puts, because you're literally making money off, other people's misery in a sense in the stock market. But again, you have to kind of trade how it lays, right? You have to play the cards you're dealt at this point. And the cards being dealt was the technical patterns and everything, the sentiment, the macro. And again, the macro wasn't exactly amazing lately. With just 2 weeks ago, we had bank failures. And now here we are, everything's all good. Q's is in a bull market. So taking a look at Apple, and again, this is when I have puts on. And again, basically right here is where we're looking for continuation, and we didn't get it. We bounced literally next day. We're handcuffed. We couldn't do anything. We do have a gap to fill on Apple, and we are near resistance as well. I put an alert at 162.14. That was last Thursday's wick high. So again, if we break above that, very simple, very easy. We can go ahead and take a look at calls to the 165 level. That's your trend line to the downside on Apple. But again, I had a bearish bias on Apple based on this this upward wedge here, which would actually break down, which we got. I just didn't get the measured move down to 155.61. All of this gap up was from yesterday morning. So kind of you can't really do much with that when you're an options trader. When you're a futures trader, you have a lot more control, but when you're an options trader, you are literally handcuffed before 9:30 and after 4 p.m. That is just the nature of the beast. Amazon, I was green yesterday, 10% on these puts on Tuesday. And you could see it right here. I was literally 25 cents from being in the money. And this is what happens. We get that sore job, which is pretty ugly to see. But again, in regards to SPY, Zoom Balloon, I would take that profit and move on with my day and probably call it a quarter since tomorrow is the end of the quarter. Do you think we will test 4,300 in the next couple of months? More importantly, can we retest all-time highs before 2023? Retesting all-time highs of 479 by 2023 is, you need a lot of things going right. And I'm talking about like world peace going right. Like you need Ukraine and Russia to get to the negotiating table. You need that to be done. You need inflation to get under control. You need the Fed to pause. And we need lending standards not to be tight, which is inflationary, which would not happen if we had lower inflation. So the easy answer is no, you're not getting all-time highs this year. Could you get to 4,300? Absolutely. That's actually my target by the end of the year, 43, 4,400. And again, that's just retesting the August highs. If we did that in SPY, that's 430. That's basically where I think we would go by the end of the year. And again, just another big range. Good for the market, obviously, good for returns. But in terms of breaking out, really need to get above 4,200 before you get any kind of interest to want to go long here. And the reason I say that, again, SPY breaking out, looking great, sure, but you still have some resistance coming up at 414. I'll ride calls all day, no problem, but we've been here before in February and we rejected. So again, we still need to see if we get that breakout. To me, this is just a tradable market still. Again, I still think the bottom is in from October, but in terms of trying to find at least some edge, there's not really much just quite yet, at least in the individual names, depending. Again, I still think NVIDIA and AMD pull back. I think they're a little overstretched. And again, for me to be bearish, I mean, it has to be really technical or it has to be regards to sentiment. And again, I don't think the market is at any point of greed, but I just think that the semiconductors, when they get a little overstretched, you just get a little bit of a pullback. I'm not asking for the scorched earth. You know, I still think we'll go higher. But again, I'm waiting for that shoe to drop on semis to get a little bit of a pullback and see if we can get back into that. But we'll see what we get moving forward. Which sector for the next quarter, Austin? Cheers, Austin. In regards to sectors, I think you pretty much have to ride the mega caps. They seem to be that kind of safety place. But another one too is the KBE, which is banking. And again, this is going to be tough. KRB, I think it's KRE. Here we go, KRE, excuse me. So let's go to KRE. We'll go and extend this out. This is the actual... This is the KRE. This is the Bank Trust ETF. You can see how much we've fallen. Again, if we drew a couple of trend lines, maybe this makes a little sense. But again, they are oversold, the banks. And I'm not saying, you know, you should go buying the first commercial bank that you see. No, but I can assume or I can expect that we'd get a little bit of a bounce, a little bit of reprieve on the banks as they are a little bit oversold. JPM, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs being my favorite of the bunch. I would say banks make a little bit of a comeback into the second quarter. Mega caps still become that kind of safety net. Keep in mind, guys, in April, we have earnings again. So again, the banks will be the first ones to actually report. We'll see what they say in regards to commentary of their, you know, bond portfolio, leverage limits or leverage books, all that good stuff. So then we're right there getting into another CPI cycle. We're getting into another cycle of earnings. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on. It's still a trader's market. That's what I want to say. But in terms of what sectors I think will do well, I think banks and I think tech will do well. I still think energy will be kind of sideways. Consumer staples will be sideways. Value won't gain as much of a bid as much as discretionary will. How many billions would you consider mega cap? Mega cap is, think of this, the MAGA names, as Dan Nathan said, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, throw in NVIDIA in there, throw in Tesla in there. Those major names, those guys, you know. You can talk about the $1 trillion club, right? Microsoft, Apple, I think Amazon's part of that club, and Alphabet. I think those are the only four. Meta has been doing great this quarter. And again, what has really changed with Meta other than their layoffs? But they do make money. But again, I think it's best to just trade Meta here rather than do much to it, because we really don't have anything new. We haven't even hit new highs of the year. We rejected that February high and pulled back. So let's see if we can get there first before we start really getting too excited. Again, I still think this is a trader's market. What scares me here, or at least short term, again, I'm kind of thinking in a weekly basis, the volatility index at 19. That's a big level. 19. Again, I always say bullish below 20, but once you start getting there that quickly around that 19 level, that's where it gets tricky and we may get a little bit of a boost. And there is a lot of landmines out there. Obviously, headlines could happen at any time. And NASDAQ, again, once you start hearing that new bull market headline, that's usually a sell the news type event. And again, not one to be a bear, but again, just looking at a technical basis, we are hitting at some resistance on some individual names. And that's kind of what we want to be wary of. Doesn't mean we can't break, but let's see what we get. Last time we had a nice green candle of 50 handles on ES just this month. The next day was red. Again, could this all move be faded out? We'll see. Again, I'm just not going to run out and trade it until we start really getting some clarity to the upside, and then I'll go ahead and trade it as we get. Yeah, we talked about Tesla cup and handle. We talk about Q's cup and handle. A lot of names still have that cup and handle. So could we get more upside? I mean, breaking above 13,000 on NASDAQ is a big deal. The question is, do we sustain above it? So if you're looking at Q's 325, 315.25, if we get that break, your next target is really 320, 323. So shit, man, if you guys want to add some rocket fuel to the market, I am totally in. I love being a bull. But it's just I'm still a little wary on where we are, at least technically. Maybe I'm a slave to the charts, maybe. But again, that's really the only thing we can go by, as really nothing has changed. And this really big, fat, ping-ponging market in the S&P really since May. Any unusual options activity on your screen besides the IWM put? I didn't check on any kind of unusual options activity. I'll check it this morning. If I don't see anything, those IWM puts obviously didn't work. It only worked the next day because now banking fears are pretty much done. But in terms of IWM, in terms of IWM as well, again, that did bounce. So again, maybe IWM does bounce towards the new quarter. And again, let's take a look at the charts. Basically on the 4-hour chart, that trend line, we broke below it. Now we're back above it. In terms of any kind of momentum to the upside in regards to moving averages, we are still below the 20. You need to get above 177. All this can reverse too. That's the scary part. For example, Micron. I was looking at that chart. I posted on Twitter. And again, initially, Micron boosts after earnings. Initially. And then it fades and it chops. Micron literally had its worst quarter I have ever seen, and the stock soared. So it's starting to get a little wonky out there. Again, the AI stuff, and maybe that creates another metaverse mania. Again, I'm all about AI. I'm all about chips. I am a chip investor. I love AMD and I love NVIDIA, but I'm starting to get a little wary on those names getting just too stretched. NVIDIA is up about 84% year to date in the first quarter. That's pretty unsustainable for a market cap that large. So again, just keep that in mind. I'm selling my TQQ. What do you think? Thank you, Carlos. TQQ. I would put and guys, you want to hear something really crazy? I had TQQ as well, and I had to get out because it hit my stop, and that's just the reality of it. You're about to break out on TQs. You're at 26.79. If you get above 27, maybe keep the stop at 26. But in terms of where you're getting out, it depends on where you got in. We could literally fill this gap here at 30.24, which is what I was expecting, and it was just a chop, chop, chop all day. But obviously, we're getting a little bit of a push now. Qs are now in a bull market. TQQs are a tough one to trade. But if you want to take the profit, I'm not against it whatsoever. You are hitting your head on some kind of resistance here. But April is a seasonally strong month. So we can get a little more overbought. Being overbought doesn't matter. You can always be more overbought or more oversold. Thanks, Carlos. I've learned more from you than my 4 years at university. Seriously, you're welcome. Again, class, this is what it is. It's always teaching. Jacobo says 30% profit. Yeah, man, take your profit and go home and just be happy. And then we get a little bit of a pullback or we push a little higher, then you can get back in. Again, That's what I talk about with the team on the Discord server, is that trades are like buses. You know, there's one every 15 minutes. There's always a new one. There's always a new opportunity. The market isn't going anywhere. What kills it is the chop. And that's really the only thing you can look out for. So looking at the market this morning, just doesn't feel good. I'm going to have to just salvage what I can on my puts and just kind of eat it. You know, the shit sandwich. You just got to take a big bite, and then you just hate the taste, but you rinse your mouth and you move on. So that's kind of the deal here. I'm looking at Qs 315.25. If that breaks and we get a little more momentum, I wouldn't mind playing the Qs for next week. A reminder, next week is Good Friday. On Friday, there is no stock market. The stock market is closed. I will be leaving to Colombia that Friday and to go visit some family. I won't be back until Monday. So that Monday, this Monday coming up, I will be on YouTube. The Monday after, I will not. But I will give you the guys reminders as always. So just keep in mind, if you are trading anything for next week, that you lose a day because the market is closed on Friday. So there we go. Thank you guys as always for joining with me every morning and kind of going over the markets and the charts. Appreciate it, and I love talking to you guys. And oh, nice, we got Colombian in the house, same as me. I'm Colombian as well. My family is from Medellin, so can't wait to go see them. Definitely going to be a good time to get some eyes off the charts and kind of enjoy a little bit of a weekend of relaxation. I try to go to the beach as much as I can to kind of just turn off the brain, because looking at this all day can really melt your mind in a sense, but you get used to it. All right, guys, have a great rest of your morning. I will catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will see you guys then. Have a great rest of your morning. Let's make it a great trading Thursday. Cheers.